existing coalition without them survive financially?
If they left right now, or are you even asking, could we have done it from the beginning?
No, I'm saying no. Assuming that gets on, are they necessary for the rest of the way? Because I'm assuming there's. Yeah, but let me give you my what I'm talking about. I'm saying there's going to be revenue needed, direction, leadership on the campaign to get it passed. I mean,
right.
There's going to be some negative ads. I don't know. Maybe that's not thought about. Maybe you don't do anything and people just show up and they know.
No, they planned. I mean, they planned a vigorous campaign.
They put together
we discussed that with them.
Yeah, all the necessary components, including the professional organizations with which to be successful. And they have a plan and
TV ads and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and they're carrying it out. And so yes, they would be. I mean, we'd have to replace them with another professional effort with a plan and a strategy, and they are unique in the amount of experience they have doing these things around the country.
The benefits are that they've got street cred and they've gotten it done elsewhere. They know what is necessary. They're I think a good judge of trends and voters and market whatever.
We can look at some issues, but the reality is, everything came together for us to be all sitting in a pretty good situation right now, and I think everybody's happy about it.
I'm just curious what the thought is, because obviously it's a lot of effort and organization and money and resources and getting along and capitulating and leadership to get to this point. Is there, what are the resources that are needed the rest of the way? Is there anticipated a huge opposition? I mean, the MMA had one opposition group. It was led by Bill Schuette, and they lost, embarrassingly. Do you anticipate that's going to happen? I know that I've seen some other groups, I think, file for, nonprofits. It's kind of, that we're opposing it. Do you think overall, I guess the question is, what is the strategy going forward? I mean, what do you think needs to get done?
There's people in the CRMLA that would be the official spokespeople to issues such as that, like what the overall strategy is. I mean, as far as MI Legalize is concerned, we are continuing to raise money. We're preparing to combat misinformation in various ways and do various things in support to help get us through. The CRMLA is saying that when we get official certification for the signatures, which should be coming up tomorrow, it then is a moving forward situation where people who might be interested in making some significant donations to really help see this through will feel more comfortable about it now that these signatures are certified. And I think they start working in earnest on bringing in some of the bigger money in order to see this through. And there is some opposition, what they're going to mean and how big they're going to get and how much people are willing to pour into that, kind of remains to be seen. But with the professionals that are in place, Truscott Rossman, I think we're going to fare pretty well. Plus the support that we know of right now at 61% is really huge going into this.
It's polling better than medical did when medical passed.
Yeah, and better in other medical states that have passed, and there's many good signs, and we're prepared to take on. The opposition's using pretty weak and pretty old opposition talking points and arguments. And in fact, tomorrow maybe we should slide it in. There's going to be a debate to cap off the day of getting the hopeful official word that the effort's headed to the ballot. There's going to be a debate with the opposition main dude Greensley from Healthy and Productive Michigan, I believe his group is called, funded by Smart Approaches to Marijuana largely. Kevin Sabet and company.
Is he in town fighting it?
No, that's why Greenlee's there.
He's funded this group. I don't know if he'll come around. I was asked by the organizer, which is the club is North Oakland Republican Club, NORC, and it's pretty cool group. And the guy who heads it up, Matt Marco, is pretty aware of various issues that are important, and he gets the really kind of top-notch people to speak at his organization, at his groups and stuff like that, and they have a pretty good time. And he's interested in this issue. He had me speak last year, just about a year ago, about the points of what the language contains and what it would mean and things like that. And we did a straw poll at the end of it, and there was about 75% support in that room, the Northern Oakland County Republican Club. So it's a largely libertarian-minded people in there, and Peter Zos, I think, for example, would be a member there.
Oh, yeah.
And he was there when I was there, and he helped out too. There was a guy spouting off a little bit about the driving thing, and he stood up and told him about the AAA study and all that kind of stuff. So.
All right.
So that should be pretty cool. And to cap off the day where we get official confirmation on that, John Truscott himself of Truscott Rossman, the PR firm of the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, will counter the opposition points of Greensley in this healthy and productive Michigan in front of that group.
Greensley, he's the one that said that members of the marijuana community threatened him, and he had
to get some more guns or
he
something
needed
like
a
that.
gun.
It's all idiotic from the beginning. Yep.
And this was before anyone really knew who he was. I don't understand.
He got
it.
some attention with that. You still
He sure
remember
did.
it, right? It was
He
kind
sure
of a
did.
sensational thing. And he's a long-time operative in this world, in political world, and he knows that there's opposition money out there, so he formed a group to capture it, and he's going to try to do some work and get paid for it.
Well, a couple things. One is that we're going to take a break, I think. Jim, would you approve of that?
Yes.
Okay, and when we come back, I want to talk more of the details of the piece of legislation. I think it's important that we, as we're talking about it, we could reflect on the good of it and the bad of it, whatever.
I want to talk about Section 15.
Well, let's start. Let's print it, whatever, for here.
Are you going to bitch about it?
No,
or are you going to
I'm going to
support
say
it?
about how great
Okay.
that specific section is, and
Just curious before you
no, it's going to be
tease the next segment for everybody.
No, but now you've kind of ruined it, Jimmy.
Also, I was gonna, I would
Just trying to not give anybody a reason to listen in.
Cabbage radio at its best. I was going to say we have a couple drawn out episodes of Planet Green Trees where we interviewed Jamie Lowe talking about some of the 2 episodes where we talk about the history. We didn't get to any modern point, but I think at the end of the day, the ultimate project was to express and show in the history some of the just absolute opposition and interference with the implementation of the MMA that occurred through the various people's eyes that witnessed it, advocated for it to stop, and how just quickly in Michigan, like the legalization community and the medical community unified out of the gate. It's not always that way in other states, and it wasn't something that was like negotiated. It was like organically fell into place just because the protections under medical were not real. And if it had to be like that, and doctors aren't protected, they're getting arrested, people are getting charged with CCEs and, for growing big plants and stuff, then we have to have legalization. And it was really interesting early on. And that's a unique thing about Michigan. Michigan's got a lot of similarities to other states and a lot of unique things. I mean, we could talk about, but would you agree, Jamie, that that's the thing? Like the medical community and the legalization community is pretty tight out of the gate?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was never able to get implemented properly. They were prepared to rattle it in any way. Sometimes these technicalities, sometimes
Sure.
other methods. Obviously, the municipal leagues and the township associations were approached and were given
Sure.
methodology for staving all this stuff off. So, absolutely.
And that's just it. Like, like they're taking test cases and making law. But the point I was trying to make is as we continue this series, and we are going to have we Miss Deborah Young a couple weeks ago. We're going to have to see if we can get her clear some time of her schedule. Tigers may be playing that night. We never know. Get her back on to hear her views. But Jamie's promised at least 7 or 8 more episodes, and
Jamie's committed for the next 2 years.
that's good. But the point being of the PR campaign for legalization, my intention was to create some of it here, right, Jamie?
Yeah.
Deborah, Jim,
Yes, absolutely.
Steve Miller's here. By the way, he's joined us. I've
Steve
been
just got
waiting to make sure that I did remember to recognize your skill set earlier. Because the story for legalization in Michigan is that. The law is pretty clear, but it doesn't matter if the law enforcement isn't going to follow it. All right, so we'll take a break and come back. We still have on our agenda of items the everyone in awe of the Dana Nessel event, that shared experience, and the cannabis community taking over the Democratic Party.
We should also cover the possibilities of what the legislature could do during the 40-day legislative. Or 40-day period after the certification of signatures.
We'll talk about that as well before we even talk about the substance of it. Dana was on the list.
And then we can talk.
Wait,
yeah.
The amendment that's been proposed for the MMFLA to criminalize 5-year felonies for
extraction.
What is a processor then?
A processor is
a dryer. They got a bunch of drying racks in their building.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
I mean, that would be it, right? Drug test.
No, they want you to make brownies with plant material in it. We're back to Carruthers. I mean, if you want to torture yourself, I got a funny story about that too. Do you remember? The guy that introduced the bill was the guy who asked me the questions during the forfeiture testimony.
Oh, Mr. Cole.
Yeah,
yes, and he said to me,
"I'm just trying." Too bright, I don't think.
He kept saying,
"Go ahead and say it."
I'm just trying to wrap my brain around. Were extractions legal then? Remember that? I was like, that's a good question. I don't think they were ever illegal. I mean, that's some shitty case about brownies, but they fixed that. You guys fixed that, and you made it retroactive to cure that mistake before. So you're asking me today, was it illegal? No. Right? He's like, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around. That guy came up with that 5-year felony.
One he has.
He's like, I'll show that Comorn, that celebrity attorney, Michael Comorn.
How? First of all, what is the logic that goes? I mean, I understand he's got this concept. I know there's been stories of homes being blown up and, butane. What's the butane extraction is the dangerous, and it's been precluded in the MMA.
It's already illegal. Already illegal. You can't do it in the curtilage of a.
You can do it outside, right, but not in the curtilage of the house.
Right, and I think, and everybody has pretty much agreed that the curtilage would include the yard of 90% of the residential properties in major cities. Yeah,
I don't know that any court's ever expanded that.
I don't think so, but that's been the general consensus and the advice that I have been given.
Garage.
What? Would you advise me to go in my backyard?
I asked about a garage. What about a garage?
That's a residential building.
By definition, you think that's a residential building?
An outbuilding, like a pole barn.
Maybe an outbuilding. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. But the point is that they don't need to make this additional change where they are just banning extracts wholesale. They cannot articulate any public safety issue that really has occurred since House Bill 4210 was enacted into law and the butane extraction issue was solved. I've yet to hear about any of these chemical extractions causing any issues to anybody. Yet this representative, Tristan Cole, and his little gang of buddies that, for whatever reason, have this axe to grind with the act are once again trying to take away our fucking rights. And it's pissing me off. They just did this, and we had to fight to get them back. And now they're going to do it again?
Two things. One, I know Steve Miller spent a lot of time on one of those.
At the committee.
At the
That's
committee.
What I was just going to talk about.
Spent all that time, fought hard to get a reasonable milligram maximum. What was it, Steve, 1,000?
1,000 milligram candy bar or whatever product.
Sounds good.
Right. Meaning there's no and that's what's going to be recommended to the rules making committee. And now they're saying you can't even do that.
I mean, we had a guy in that committee who he owns the company Moxie. And he has this patented industrial butane extraction method that they use. And he was making recommendations to the Laura people at that meeting. And I don't know. I don't see where the disconnect occurred. I mean, we had a committee. We talked about these things. They're putting rules forth based on that, and now all of a sudden they're going to throw legislation in to stop part of the. I mean, what is? It's fucking insanity.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's back to the old political cartoon, which is, a kid was used before, but it could be anyone now who's used to eating a brownie or something, some extraction, that they now hand him a bong to smoke. It's like you got to,
When is Tristan Cole up for re-election again?
That's amazing.
Because the PAC may run an anti
this year.
Against
He's up for re-election in November.
Al Witt against him because Al Witt beat out a retired Michigan State police officer for city council as a felon
Wow.
after they sent him to jail. And then the city council of Gaylord, Michigan put him on the committee that doles out money to the police. So now when the Gaylord police need anything, they come to Al Witt. So I would, and he's a genuine guy.
Is
He's
Tristan
a
Cole a former cop? Am I missing
No.
something?
No, he's
What
just
did he do?
He's just